بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. So for those who've been attending every other Monday, we're trying to go through the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, through the Surah of Yusuf that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran. I know some of the brothers are still praying, so inshallah if you intend to stay, I'm going to ask you inshallah to move forward. I know some of you guys are walking out, which is absolutely fine, but inshallah I did bring some chocolate as I promised last time I was here. And the point of the chocolate is that I'll be asking some questions, and then if you get the answer, it's not really trick questions. A lot of these questions are really easy. Inshallah you get a piece of chocolate. So inshallah if you are planning to stay, I would request you inshallah to move forward with the ta'ala. So last time we stopped at Yusuf alayhi salam going to his father and told him the dream. So Yusuf alayhi salam had a dream that he had the sun and the moon and 11 planets prostrating to him. And he woke up and immediately he goes to his father and he tells his father, I saw this dream. The next verse after that, which is verse number 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the response of Yaqoob alayhi salam to his son. Yaqoob alayhi salam tells Yusuf, قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. O my beloved son, do not tell this dream to your brothers, because indeed they might plot against you. Question for the first piece of chocolate. Why did Yaqoob tell his son not to tell the dream to his brothers? Go ahead. Go ahead. Exactly. Why would they plot against him? Jealous of what? Huh? Go ahead. You're on the right track. Okay, here, you get a chocolate still. Can you catch? Alright, good man. So, one of the things we know is that, and we mentioned this last time, is that the mother of Yusuf, according to a lot of historical narrations, had died at a very younger age. At his young age, so he was pretty young when she passed away. So his father was giving him a lot of care, which is very natural. As a result of that, his brothers felt that their father loves him more. And we see this later in the surah. But the reason Yaqoob told Yusuf alayhi salam not to tell is obviously because of to protect his son. Because if he were to tell the brothers, hey, I had this dream that you're all going to prostrate to me at one point, how are his brothers going to feel? They're going to get jealous. And Yaqoob is trying to protect his son. There is also some of the other wisdoms that some of the scholars mentioned, is that there is really no benefit. There is no benefit of Yusuf telling his brothers. And it's natural because Yusuf was a young man that if you see something excited, you're going to tell everybody. If you see something that seems like something great, what's going to happen? The natural thing is you want to tell everybody about it. So Yaqoob is also trying to tell Yusuf, listen, there's no benefit for you to tell anybody. Nobody's going to benefit from this. And then he gives him something where what Yaqoob thinks is going to happen, which is فَيَكِيدُ لَكَ كَيْدًا. They might plot against you. They might harm you in one way, shape, or form. So in a way, he's protecting his son. And then he says something very interesting. He says, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Shaitan is a severe enemy to mankind. Now, why is Shaitan coming in this verse? Because up to this point, there was no mention of Shaitan. They weren't having a conversation about Shaitan. But why did Yaqoob tell Yusuf alayhi salam that Shaitan is a severe enemy to mankind? What do we learn from this? You want to have something? What does it speak up a little bit? So Shaitan is going to cause his brothers to plot against him. What do we learn from that? Okay, I'll come back to you. Do you guys have any thoughts? So he said that Yaqoob is telling his son that Shaitan is going to tell your brothers of whatever they're going to do. Because Shaitan is evil. And he's an enemy to mankind. Why? What is the point? What is the wisdom behind Yaqoob saying this? So some of the wisdoms that the scholars mentioned is that Yaqoob did not want to tell his son that your brothers are evil internal, like they're all evil. But rather, it's Shaitan who's going to whisper to them that they might do something bad. So he's attributing the evilness or the plotting to Shaitan to not cause any animosity between Yusuf and his brothers. Because imagine if he would have said, hey, they're going to plot against you because your brothers are evil. How is he going to feel about that? He's going to feel some sort of animosity between them and his brothers. So in a way, actually, Yaqoob alayhi salam is protecting that relationship between the two siblings. Even though he knows his sons. He knows that his sons have some sort of jealousy against Yusuf, but he's protecting that relationship. He's telling them Shaitan is evil. And we also learn something very interesting, is that if you see something bad in somebody, it might not necessarily be because this person is bad inherently. It could be just because their circumstances. It could be because of Shaitan. It could be because of some bad influence. Nobody is evil 100%. Right? And even later in a verse, the brothers repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah accepts the repentance, which comes in later in the surah. But the key here that Yaqoob is teaching us a beautiful lesson is that Shaitan is going to cause issues between the siblings. Not because the siblings are evil, it's because Shaitan does exist. And he's bringing this up to the attention of Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, Yaqoob alayhi salam then tells Yusuf in the next verse, verse number 6, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ وَعَلَى آلِ يَعْقُوبَ كَمَا أَتَمَّهَا على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إِنَّ رَبَّكَ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. Yaqoob alayhi salam, remember the two verses before are about the dream. So Yusuf gets this dream that he's going to be this great man, that even his own father is going to prostrate to him. His brothers are going to prostrate to him. So he knows that at one point he's going to be something great. Now Yaqoob alayhi salam is teaching a beautiful lesson to his son here. He says, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ. And just like that, your Lord Allah is going to choose you. Which teaches him humility, that when you become great, it's not because you are awesome. It's because Allah shows you to be awesome. Because Allah chose you to be in that status. Yaqoob is teaching his son that whatever goodness you have, don't think because you're great. Attribute it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And brothers, this is exactly what happens to us. Some of us get promotions, we get new jobs, we get good grades, we have children. A lot of times it's just a simple blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that is good in our lives is purely because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the word that ijtibah is very interesting. Right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him, Allah is choosing you and He's choosing you for a reason. And Allah is going to bless you and He's going to bless you for a reason. So always remember Allah throughout your journey. Because what's going to happen from this point on is going to be downward for Yusuf. It's going to be really, really tough. From this point on, which we'll go inshallah over in 2 Mondays from today, things start going downhill from there. But Yaqoob alayhi salam is preparing his son that Allah is going to choose you. Allah has chosen you through that dream. So understand that. And then he tells him, وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. And he's going to teach you from the interpretation of dreams. How did Yaqoob know that Allah is going to teach Yusuf about interpretation of dreams? He could have told him Allah's going to give you a lot of knowledge. Right? But specifically, he says Allah is going to tell you ta'wil al-ahadith, which by a lot of translations mean the interpretation of dreams. Allah specifically will teach you that. And it could also mean that you will be able to have a lot of knowledge as well. But it was very specific. How did Yaqoob know that Allah is going to teach him interpretation of dreams? Any thoughts? I know some of you guys were not here last time. We talked a little bit about it. Or you were here last time. You're thinking?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe Hazrat Yaqoob knew that, like, he was telling one of the king about those dreams, and those dreams come true, like the king saw the dream. And
So this happens later in the story.
yeah, later in the story.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're very, very close. It's related to a dream.
Yes.
Which dream?
Yeah, those like scarcity will come and like seven.
You're later in the story.
Okay.
Did Yaqoob dream about it before his verses meeting?
Interesting. So actually some of the scholars said it's because Yaqoob is a prophet too. So he got access to, this is what Allah is going to teach you. So it has to do with the fact that Yaqoob himself is a prophet. Right? And as a prophet, you get access to the knowledge, like to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way. Allah can tell you certain things. So that's one interpretation. There's something else. There's something you're very, very close. You're talking about a dream, but there's a specific dream that could have given Yaqoob that thought that Allah is going to teach Yusuf about dream interpretations. Yes?
Is it the fact that when he heard Yusuf telling him about a dream, he's like, look, he can only achieve the dream if he understands what it's saying. So he understood that Allah was going to teach him how to interpret the dream in order for Yusuf to achieve it.
Very good, very, very good. Jazakallah khair. So some of the scholars mention is that children dream a lot, right? A lot of our kids, children, they dream. But the fact that Yusuf alayhi salam cared so much about the dream that he had, and he had very vivid details of that dream. Like, listen, he could have said, I saw some stars, the sun and the moon prostrating to me. No, yeah, Yusuf said, I saw 11 stars or 11 planets. Like, he was paying attention to his dream, and he woke up remembering that dream. Some of the scholars mentioned that Yaqoob, because of the care and the memory and the excitement that Yusuf had when he was telling this dream to his father, was an indication that Allah is preparing Yusuf to interpret dreams. Because now, later in the story, interpreting dreams is going to be the way to get him out of jail, which is what you're referring to. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a way, on Yaqoob alayhi salam is telling Yusuf, be prepared. Allah is going to teach you that. The fact at 11 years old or 12 years old or however old Yusuf was, the fact that he remembered this dream so vividly and he wanted some sort of interpretation, Yaqoob is telling Yusuf, you're going to care so much about dreams. And Allah will teach you later how to interpret dreams. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues by saying, وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ, and He will finish up, He will give you more from His blessings. وَعَلَى آلِ يَعْقُوبَ, and the rest of the family of Yaqoob. And yutimmu means to complete. And some of the scholars mention this is because of the fact that Yusuf came from a very prophetic family. Right? His father was a prophet, his grandfather was a prophet, and his great-grandfather was also a prophet. So, in a way, Allah is telling us that He is going to be that seal of the family of prophethood within the family of Yusuf alayhi salam. And then وَعَلَى آلِ يَعْقُوبَ كَمَا أَتَمَّهَا عَلَى أَبَوَيْكَ مِنْ قَبْلِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْحَاقَ. So some of the scholars also interpret this as an indication that Yusuf is telling, Yaqoob is telling Yusuf that you might be a prophet one day. He didn't tell him directly, but he's bringing up Yaqoob, Ibrahim and Ishaq, they're all prophets. And he tells him that Allah gave them that blessing of prophethood. So He will give you that prophethood as well. And then He tells him, Inna Rabbaka Alimun Hakim, indeed your Lord is all-knowing and all-wise. This is extremely important, extremely, extremely important in the narration of the story. Why? Yaqoob alayhi salam is giving a lot of power and hope to his son Yusuf alayhi salam. Because what's going to happen after that, it's going to require Yusuf to have all this energy. to have all this hope, to have this trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know that he's going to get out of his calamity no matter how bad it is. And there's nobody in the Quran that Allah mentions his calamities after calamities after calamities in so much details like Yusuf alayhi salam. There's so much calamity that this Prophet goes through alayhi salam. And Allah is preparing him. Allah is telling you, listen, you will become somebody one day. Persevere. Just be patient. Keep going with what you're going. And Yaqoob is teaching that to his son, to prepare him. As if Yaqoob himself even knew that something is going to happen to his son. Right? Now we don't necessarily have indications here whether Yaqoob knew the details, but Yaqoob is preparing his son. And as a prophet, obviously he's given him a lot of advice. And we learned later that a lot of this advice comes later on, right? To give that Yusuf, right? The energy to continue in whatever calamity is in. And the last thing is the fact that Yaqoob alayhi salam used Alimun Hakim, that actually gets repeated a lot in the Quran, which is Allah's knowing. Allah knows what you're going through, and He's wise. And nothing that you're going through is out of His wisdom. And brothers and sisters, as I end here, we forget sometimes that Allah is aware of what we go through. Sometimes we go through certain difficulties, and I feel like is Allah around? Like, is Allah watching all of this? Allah is certainly watching. And His knowledge has wisdom in it. So you might be going through calamities that you think is the most difficult thing. Understand that Allah knows it. And Allah knows it in the details more than us. You know, sometimes when we have difficulties, let's say I'm going through some sort of trouble. I go to our friend. Tell him, hey man, I'm really struggling with 1, 2, 3. Now this friend doesn't know how you feel. This friend doesn't know how to get you out of your calamity. This friend doesn't know the intensity of the trouble that you're in. But Allah knows. So when we talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to talk to Allah in a way that encompasses His knowledge. That we have to be able to know that Allah knows every little detail about me when I'm going through that calamity. And the fact that Yaqoob alayhi salam told his son, and subhanAllah, it's beautiful. He tells him Allah knows. So when later on he's in the well, he would remember Allah knows. When he's faced with a calamity in prison, Allah knows. When he's faced with the seduction with the wife of the king, Allah knows. And with that knowledge, there's wisdom, Hakim. There's a reason behind it. And every little thing that Yusuf goes through, there's a wisdom for it. And then it's all going to prevail itself throughout the story. So we just see this beautiful fatherhood and this beautiful relationship between Yusuf and Yaqoob, between Yaqoob and Yusuf, and how much advice he's given him, and how relevant it is, and how important it is. Because after this point, Yaqoob and Yusuf, they depart. They don't see each other until many, many, many years later. So that relationship is really, really important, and this part of the story is extremely important. Inshallah, next Monday we meet, we're going to be starting talking about the whole plotting and how his brothers are going to plot against him and all that. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Sheikh, do you want to correct me in anything I said?
So when Yaqoob said to them, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ.
Okay. Tell me more.
So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and this is how your Lord has chosen you. And Yaqoob alayhi salam, he was very purposeful in his choice of the word love. Versus using other asma or using other sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indicating to him that you will be, because Rabb bimana,
takes care of you.
Yeah, so it's very nice, and it goes with the siyaq of the ayah. How He's telling him basically, listen, Allah, your Lord not only chose you, but He's going to prepare you for what is to come.
So I don't know if you guys heard, but what the Shaykh is basically saying that the choice of the word Rabb is an indication that somebody will take care of you, right? Somebody who kind of in upbringing type of a way, and perhaps if I may add the fact that Yaqoob realizes, or maybe he's preparing him that he's not going to have a father. So he's reminding Yusuf that Allah will take care of you. Allah is there, and Allah will be with you throughout your journey. So get ready and don't forget that Allah is always going to be there. Even if your father is not there, even if you don't have a guardian, even if you have nobody there, Allah is always going to be there for you. Did you have something to say?
Yaqoob alayhi salam giving this advice to Yusuf alayhi salam. What
made him to cry so much that he loses his sight.
Yeah. So Yaqoob didn't necessarily know that Yusuf is going to depart from him, right? So Yaqoob Allah is telling us how Yaqoob is preparing his son without necessarily knowing what's going to happen. Like Yaqoob didn't know that his brothers are going to plot against him, or he's going to go to Egypt, or he's going to be in prison. Like Yaqoob didn't necessarily know all these details, right? As far as I know, Allah A'lam, I don't know if Yaqoob knows.
He's like any parent.
Yeah.
Any parent, if they see any nubla in their child,
Yeah.
where they see that, okay, there's great things destined for him, it doesn't necessarily think that he's ever going to leave the home. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Of course, absolutely. Yeah. And also, even we don't necessarily have any indications that Yaqoob knew, even if you know what's going to happen to your son, you're still going to be sad, right? I mean, a lot of us, for example, I see this a lot when we travel overseas. For example, we go see our family, and our families know that we're going to leave in 3 weeks. But when we leave, what happens? Everybody cries, right? Even though they know we're going to only be there for a couple of weeks just to see them, but they still cry because the emotions is there. Because that departing is just not. It's not something that a lot of people are going to go through or like to go through. Anything else?
The second thing I was going to say is that Yusuf, it's either Yusuf or Benjamin. I don't remember who's the youngest.
Benjamin is youngest
I think
from
he
what I've
was
read.
younger, okay.
I believe so.
So the thing is, when you're the youngest, you always want to impress your siblings.
Mm.
So this, Wallahu A'lam, I think this is the reason why Yaqoob
That's a really good point. The Shaykh is saying is that perhaps Yaqoob told his son not to tell his brothers because perhaps he felt that Yusuf was gonna tell them because he wants to impress them, right? He wants to impress them because he's younger and they're all older than him. So that's also another indication to kind of stop Yusuf from doing that again, protecting. Okay, Jazakumullah khair, guys. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.